Good morning, Bucknutters. It is Tuesday, November 18th, 2025. I am Dan Rubin. This is the Bucknuts Morning 5 and change. Looks like we might be having some technical difficulties to get started here, but we will soldier on through and attempt to keep it fresh for everyone here. If you're having issues, let me know in the chat if you can see us, if you can hear us. Our carrier has decided to get more technical without consulting the fact that I have no technical skills. So kind of selfish on their part, I'd say, but hopefully no worse for the wear. You can see Mark Porter. You can see Garrick, Hodge. I'm Dan Rubin. Again, this is the Bucknuts Morning 5 and change, and the podcast covers the national champs who are ranked number one. I'm getting all good from my peeps. So Eddie Edwards, thank you. And we will move on from here. Let's make sure we can do this. All right. Okay. We're going to meet the new guys. Several recruits. In fact, every time I turn on my computer when I was out of town, another Buckeye joined. They're probably waiting for me to leave, Garrick. I was kind of offended. And then we're going to get into the eye in the sky as we are wont to do. But first, Garrick is going to introduce you one by one to the newest commits and kind of let you know how we got to this point. Jermaine asks, news on the Florida DB. Oh, it's coming. We got to go in chronological order here. We will first talk about the new commits, then about the potential new commits. But first, let's start with Eli Johnson, the class of 2027.
Yeah, Eli Johnson, it was by the end of the week, one of the worst kept secrets in the recruiting sphere. Eli was courteous enough to let 247 Sports know about a week ago that he was going to commit to Ohio State. So we did our best to play he could be in. We'll see. We'll see how things go. But actually talked to him last night to get a little bit more detail. And just to give a little bit more clarification first, Eli Johnson is a 6'3", 200-pound safety from Chibolo, Texas. I probably butchered that pronunciation, but nonetheless, we soldier on. And he really said he knew about a month ago he was going to commit to Ohio State, and he really just wanted to finish taking his visits, do his due diligence, and make sure that all the boxes were checked. And I asked him if he wanted to surprise Ryan Day and Matt Guerrieri on Saturday, or if he just already kind of let them know that he was planning to commit on that. And he was like, yeah, I let him know about a month ago that it was probably going to end with me being in the class. But nonetheless, he made it official about an hour before the game on UCLA. And he emerged from the tunnel with a giant smile on his face. You could tell that he was, to borrow a Dan term, basking in being a Buckeye. And I really like his game a lot. Like we said, he is a 6'3", 200-pound safety, more than ideal size and athleticism. In his film, he's usually at traditional free safety depth and showcased exceptional coverage skills. But the team also deployed him in the box at times, and he's a great run defender given his size. I'd say with his range and frame, he'd do well at either safety spot, depending on where Ohio State thinks his talents are best utilized. And he even said that they're willing to put him at either spot. But this was one of Matt Guerrieri's top targets in the 27 class, and they got it done pretty early. So now he's going to be a great peer recruiter for Ohio State.
Mark, your thoughts?
I'm going to try to pull up the most recent video of him, which isn't the one I was just watching. So let me make sure we get the right guy here.
I'll say this.
It's a lot of linebacker video, and I want to make sure we show him, in his best
I get that. I mean, just size-wise, you're talking about I think it's a lot to ask for people to follow the Sonny Styles approach to football, which is be by far the best athlete on the field at 6'4", 6'5", come to Ohio State, gain some weight, and transition to linebacker. That's a lot to ask. I don't really get the sense that's what's going on here. He looks a little bit more like a true safety to me, but I could be wrong about
He'll
that.
definitely start at safety, but to an extent, yeah, if he bulks up quite a bit, I wouldn't be surprised if he moves to linebacker eventually, but I don't think they're planning on that. I think that they're initially think that the speed is good, the coverage is good, and they're going to start him at safety, and hopefully he sticks there. But if not, they're, of course, as we've seen, willing to adjust as needed.
We can play a few clips of him now. We'll get an idea of his speed right here on the kickoff return, and you can see the length, of course. I definitely had a different video pulled up the first time. That's why I want to make sure we got this right for the Bucknutters. You could see that. I see the Kyle Hamilton in the thing, or the right ransom. He does have that type of length back there, and the range and the ball skills, stuff like that, you'll see on this tape as we get into it. So you can see up here on the screen here.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we had so many players in the past, like Sam Hubbard, Tyvis Powell, guys that have that. Like, keep saying it, give me the 6'5", 200-pounders, no matter where they're lining up, and it'll sort itself out.
Yeah, very impressive to get started. All right, next up, and I think this one, when we look back on that, this might be one of the key pickups in that these are the kind of guys, to me, Dre Quinn, who go to, I'm not saying we're the flavor of the month, but it helps to be number one. It helps to have guys thriving. And I think this is one of those cases because, I mean, he was committed to Clemson. And you're going to have – we talked about this a while back, that there's going to be some patience needed because there's going to be so much upheaval in football now that everyone's getting paid, that people get a little itchy on the trigger finger. I think that goes for college cognoscenti hiring coaches, but I think it also goes for recruits. So he was Georgia kid committed to Clemson. I almost did that again. In pregame, I had him to Texas. I was wrong. Who is now coming to Ohio State. Dre Quinn, let us know about him.
Yeah, Dre Quinn was someone that I was keeping an eye on this weekend, mostly because I thought it was the Buckeyes' biggest need in the recruiting class in terms of they needed another edge desperately to pair alongside Kerry Wilder. But I wasn't 100% confident that they could get this done. I was cautiously optimistic, but and I say that because this is a guy that immediately when he decommitted from Clemson, Texas was the popular choice among the recruiting sphere about the initial prognostications of where people were placing him, mostly because Texas finished as the runner-up to him when he initially committed to Clemson, so that was a natural fit. And then Dre also had visits set to Texas and Tennessee as well. So to give you a little background on Dre, 6'4", 228 pounds, plays from Buford High School in Georgia. That's one of the best high school programs in Georgia. And a lot of people, when I posted his stats, he only has 2 sacks on a senior season. This is the type of defense where there's D1 prospects all over the place and everybody eats. So it's just a matter of whose turn is it. It's not that. And plus, a guy like him also takes a lot of double teams. But he's a type of guy that can stand on the edge. He can stand in a 3-point stance. No matter what, he's going to create pressure, and he's a true pass rush talent for Ohio State. I will say that in terms of landing him, he took an unofficial visit for the Minnesota game on October 4th. Loved it so much, and then someone secretly told us, yeah, I think secretly Ohio State kind of leads right now. So I kept that in the back of my mind from there. And then after that, he scheduled an official visit to Ohio State for November 15th. And again, cautiously optimistic, but I was also raising one eyebrow because he had visits scheduled in the weeks after to Texas and Tennessee as well. And Miami was also going pretty hard after Mr. Quinn. And we know when the Hurricanes get involved, there's a lot of antics that follow in that recruiting sphere. But Ohio State went all out. They put on a full court press for Mr. Quinn, and they got him to shut down his recruitment on Sunday morning. And I would anticipate that those 2 visits no longer happen now. I would imagine that's contingent on the commitment. But when you look at the Ohio State class in general, and you're talking about pairing Dre Quinn with Kerry Wilder, it's hard not to get excited about the 2 pass rushers that you're bringing to Columbus.
Yeah, when you talk about Buford High School, by the way, Google Buford High School new stadium suites. So just right on that, you know that it's something different. They have suites. Secondly, Edric Houston is Buford. That's where Dylan Raiola transferred to. I think his younger brother's probably still there. That is the definition of a football factory. I think Justice Haynes went there. I'm not positive, but I know that's they were one of the arch rivals of Caleb Downs in high school. Mark, your thoughts as you watch the video.
I love that we're doing the extended version while Garrett's talking so we can really get into this. You just saw some tight end clips that are outstanding. But I think we can throw away the star system and just go by Dan and I's facial expressions as this kid is playing. Like the facial expressions give him the rating. The more we are shocked, the more our faces go, whoa. I think you can tell what we're seeing on this tape. Love that body. I just said, hey, give me all these 6'5", 200-pounders, 6'4", 200-pounders. I'd bring them all in, and I'd race them in the agility drill and race them in the 40. The faster guys would go down, or stay back. The slower guys would go down, and we'd start there. But, geez, oh, man, the pass rush skills, the arm length, his little head shake as he's going by. Garrett said it, true pass rusher. Like, give me pass rushers till I'm blue in the face. And it's funny, I'm watching the NFL, and Dan will know this, they just lost Parsons. There's only few guys on earth that can truly get home on every single snap, that have the explosive ability. And you just got to keep taking chances on these body types till you find them. And when you find them, thank the good Lord.
I said this to Mark a while back, and it's proven out. Once I saw Arvell Reese attack the quarterback in the first game, I'm like, my guy's going in the top 10. Everyone laughed at me because he hadn't started. He's now projected to go number 1 by a lot of people because he is a werewolf. And when you can get guys expecting anybody to be the second coming of Arvell Reese going forward is going to be a lot to ask for, like a lot. And it's not probably realistic, but certainly a good model. Man, Arvell Reese is good. I can't get over how good he is. All right. Let's bring it back home to the extended Dayton area. Lebanon High School. Lebanon actually was in a Dayton area conference and now has moved to a Cincinnati area conference. But a very interesting Lebanon. I don't think it's known as a athletic factory. We got Nick Lautar out of there and Anthony Thompson, our highest rated basketball recruit in years. Transferred to a private school, but he's from Lebanon as well. So big ups to those in Lebanon. What do you know about Nick Lautar? Seems like we do very well with tight ends in the state.
Well, I can tell you about Nick Lautar. The first thing that sticks out is his 6'5", 230-pound frame, and that just screams that guy can block some people. Yep. I know his high school shifted around, splitting him out wide because he was a great pass-catching weapon as well. But when he played inline, he was also a very talented blocker. In terms of his recruitment, Nick was a guy that actually joined. I mean, they didn't arrive together, of course, but he joined the visit list weekend when Mark was there for the Ohio game in week 3. That was when he first came to Ohio State, and when you really kind of got a glimpse that Keenan Bailey and Ohio State were really looking at this guy. And they really liked what they saw his first 3 games of his senior season, but they also wanted to see a little bit more. Well, his senior season came and went. They made a full evaluation, and they decided, you know what, we like what we see. We're not going to waste any more time, and we're going to offer this kid. And this was a very, let's call it a Mason Wilhelm commitment, where he was offered and he basically accepted on the spot. He was offered on Saturday on his second visit to Ohio State, and then less than 24 hours later, he's pulling the trigger and committing, and he will be Ohio State's lone tight end for the 2026 class. And honestly, Mark is just eager to gush about this guy, so I'm not going to keep him from gushing about him much longer, but I think there's a lot to like from his film, and you're going to see it pretty quickly here.
Mark Lautar, should we not be discouraged that he was committed to Louisville, which we usually don't recruit against?
No, and this all started on his showcase in May. He lit it up. Coming out of that showcase, like you literally had coaches walk into the parking lot, looking around, going, "Hey, did you guys see what we saw? Is that the real deal?" And at the Ohio State camp this summer, there was a lot of buzz. There was like, okay, this guy would be one of the next in line in Ohio. And it seemed like we had the tight ends we wanted, or the board never cleared. And just like Brody Lennon, and I keep saying some of these guys in the past, these late guys, he paid his dues. He went to the camps. He waited his turn. And hey, I mean, when you commit the day you get an offer, it kind of alludes to the fact this is where you want to be. And here we're seeing his tape. He has the body to develop. I mean, how many of these guys have we watched in the past week? 6'5", 200 and some pounds. Just keep signing us up for these guys. The receiving abilities there, the blocking abilities there. This could be a steal. I mean, that is a brutal block on a defensive back.
Two things quickly, Mark. He's a wrestler and a good one.
Yep.
So anytime you see a big dude that's a wrestler, one, never fight them in public. Two, it's a very good sign. And also, you're seeing him being used like Brock Bowers. He is by far the most talented player on Lebanon. So he's been used all over the place. Like Brock Bowers is by far the most talented player on the Raiders. Go ahead, Mark. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. And I love that we're still doing senior evaluations, and we just haven't mailed it in on seniors and moved on to the next class and said, okay, if we didn't like him as a junior. The biggest mistake in recruiting right now is offering kids too early on limited sample sizes before the landscape of recruits has developed, and even that goes on after junior, senior year, but this is a good example. And tight end's a position where you do have these long, lanky bodies that sometimes they look weak. I'll just be frank, like as a sophomore, sometimes they don't have the punch or the pop, and we call them basketball bodies. No offense to basketball players, but they just don't have the shoulder girth and the chest girth and all that stuff. And then a couple years later, you see these kids and you're like, oh boy, if I would have known that was going to happen. Well, I think Ohio State's doing a good job on the Ohio kids, making sure that we're not missing seniors and having to pull these guys back in a couple years on the Mulligan system.
Yeah, he's something else.
Great film.
And you made a good point there about senior film. I had Andrew Ivins, director of scouting for 24/7 Sports, on a couple of weeks ago, and he said Ohio State, in his opinion, was doing the best job of senior evaluations. He was looking at the guys Ohio State was going after. He matched it up to the film, and all those guys were arrow up guys, arrow up guys, arrow up guys. So Ohio State's got this thing going off and on the field. Go ahead.
One of the things that happens is a lot of times I'll watch a senior tape, and I'll say to myself, if that's a junior tape, this kid has Big Ten offers or Ohio State, but because it's a senior tape, he didn't develop quick enough, and that's been a flawed logic where, we see it all the time. NFL guys pop up at MAC schools and other places because, this process is not perfect. It's
at all.
It's become a race sometimes more than a slow, patient, like, let's be right, let's not be first. And, I'm on my soapbox with this, but in my heart of hearts, I see that happen a lot over the last 20 years.
Absolutely. It's worse now because once you put money in there, it's going to get even more itchy on the trigger fingers. I've used that cliche twice. I will attempt to not use it a third time. All right. Now let's make Matt Reynolds happy. Let's talk about the guys that are still in the mix for Ohio State. By the way, Ohio State's gone from, and I don't put a lot of faith into this. Faith is not the right word. Stock. Ohio State's gone from the 9th rated recruiting class to the 5th. Keep in mind, we're
right now.
Where are we?
6th.
We got knocked down?
I think it was 6 all along.
Maybe I'm looking at composite versus 247.
Yeah.
5
if
or
it's
6.
247, I think it's 6th. If it's composite, it might be 5. But
all right.
And which one you're going. Take your pick. Which one?
Put it this way: they're on the move up, and I don't really put a lot of stock into where they finish personally. I think there's a lot of other factors that go into it. The idea that Ohio State's not putting together a elite recruiting class would be a silly statement. All right, and here's who may join now. 3 guys. We're going to talk about C.J. Bronaugh, Braxton Rembert, and Darius McKinley. Please start with, by the way, 3 Sudness from SEC country. So I enjoy taking players out of the South just for ha-has. But CJ Bronaugh, I'll tell you this. Mark, if you could bring him up. CJ Bronaugh. One of the things to know about him, he does play in a lower level of football, but he is up. Okay. He is the 100 champion for that state bracket. And when you watch him run, You are not surprised. Mark, if you could rewind that. Go ahead. CJ Bronaugh, tell us about him.
He is a back-to-back 100-meter champion. So not just once, but twice. And I think he's won 3 state titles in track, period. I believe he's verified at a 10.34 time in the 100-meter dash. So he will be in contention. Not saying he will be, but will be in contention for being the fastest Buckeye on the team if, in fact, he commits to Ohio State.
Day one.
Yes. In terms of will he commit to Ohio State, let's just say I'm optimistic. I think there's some good vibes coming from that visit. The visit just ended yesterday, so it's fresh. The family's entering decision mode right now. I don't think we're going to have to wait too long in terms of when he makes a decision. I would say within the next couple days at the latest, we're probably going to hear something from CJ. Wouldn't be surprised if it's even earlier than that. But I would say right now I'm slightly leaning that he's going to end up in Ohio State's class based off of the conversation that's surrounding him right now.
Do you have a height weight on him?
Yes, I do. He is 6'1", 166 pounds. So I would say that he's best suited to play outside corner based off of that. I think he has the frame to get to about 185 eventually too. So you can definitely put some weight on him there. Like you said, Dan, he doesn't play the greatest competition in high school. He plays at an independent level Florida school. But the good thing I can say about him is that when he does play in these Under Armour camps and all that, he holds his own. In fact, at end of his junior year, the Under Armour camp he competed in, he was named the defensive back Under Armour MVP. So against his peers, he's still holding his own. I don't know if he'll have his a couple welcome to college moments like every freshman does, and I'm sure he will once he realizes that Jeremiah Smith's on the other sideline and he's not facing a Jeremiah Smith in high school ranks right now. But again, who is, right? But anyway, to wrap it all up and to sum up on CJ, I think sitting here 2 weeks ago, we would say Tim Walton has one cornerback committed in Jordan Thomas, and it is just desperate for friends, right? And talented friends at that. And then he goes out and gets Jay Timmons, who is surging in the rankings right now at other institutions, and 247 hasn't put out their final senior rankings yet and has the chance to move up there. And so if you get Jordan Thomas, Jay Timmons, and if you successfully pull off the flip of CJ Bronaugh, I mean, you're looking at 3 cornerbacks that are the apple of the eye of a trio that stacks up against anybody else's core in the country.
I'm not sure who they're saying runs a 4.22 here. Are you saying that?
No, I don't think it's
4.22.
4.22.40. Okay, I thought they were saying a 4.22 100-meter dash. I was like, that would be a world record.
No,
man.
We're not recruiting a velociraptor.
But if I can't verify a 4.22.40, but if that's true,
look,
woo!
If you run a 4.22.40,
woo!
I'm trying to put that in context.
I mean,
I don't think anyone's ever run a true 4.22 at the combine, have they?
No, I mean 4.2
4.22. You're one of the fastest people on planet Earth.
Yeah, that is, and 10.3 is enough to verify that he's very fast. And you know, I'm still watching his tape as you guys are talking, and it's funny. Some of these really fast guys, sometimes they look like they're not trying, and he's guilty of that in some of these clips where he just looks like he's a normal guy running on film. But when you look at the landscape around him, that's like when you hit the hyperspace button on the the Falcon or whatever, and all of a sudden the stars go blowing by it. I think
the Millennium
makes
Falcon.
The field. Yeah, he makes the kind of field look like that, but he doesn't look like he's digging. You know how some guys just look like their feet are just ripping it through. No, he just looks smooth and fast. Yeah, there's
smooth is the right word.
Yeah, and okay, we could say the competition, but as long as you do what you're supposed to against it. Worst case scenario, if this kid was just a track kid that never played football with that speed, I'm a fool for speed. I'm gonna take it every time. I'm gonna lose my job taking guys like this and saying, hey, coach them up. And figure this out over the next couple of years here, okay? Because when you get that type of speed on the field, it changes your schemes. It changes what you can do as a football team. So, and a lot of these, like the Darrell Green stuff, the Deion Sanders stuff, a lot of those documented times for back then were hand times, and then there's the whole hand time versus laser times now and track times and what you have to add to that. And And there's no doubt the Darrell Green and Dion are two of the fastest guys I ever witnessed growing up, and there's a few others in there. And again, I mean, there are very few players that touch that under 4.3 or that echelon.
I could do a couple good Darrell Green stories that would bore the crap out of people someday. So when we do story time, I did or did not bust his son for going to an illegal high school in my high school days, and was told Darrell Green is all about integrity by Darrell Green. That happened. All right. Now let's move on to Bob Hayes. Now that is a poll. If you guys don't know who Bob Hayes is, get your Google machine out. It's worth it.
People making Cowboys fans happy.
And Olympic fans. Braxton Rembert. People will say, oh, no, Wake Forest. But Braxton Rembert comes from a very special place. Garrick, introduce us.
Well, we've talked about Braxton Rembert quite a bit on the past couple shows, but for those that weren't tuning in for those, the best way I can describe him is he is 6'5", 200 pounds, just a very raw athlete that has the potential to excel at multiple positions. And his film is pretty wild because there's some of him on the edge, there's some of him playing linebacker, there's some of him playing safety depth. And when I first talked to Braxton, he's like, I asked him what position he thinks he's best at, and he's like, well, I don't know. I'll let a college tell me that. But Ohio State's recruiting him as a linebacker, and I'm not going to throw the Yarvell Reese comparison out here like we have for the 7,000th time. But there is a little bit of, could he be an edge talent? I think he absolutely could. He had a great senior season, I think somewhere around 9 sacks. This is really a guy that I talked to him, I want to say on Sunday, and he was just kind of reflecting about how this has all come full circle for him, because after his junior year, he had 0 D1 offers, guys, 0. And that's kind of why this decision has been so difficult for him, because Wake Forest was really that first school to give him a chance. And they were the only school that believed in him for months. And he eventually pulled the trigger and committed to them in June. And then he just puts all this stuff on tape that you're seeing now in his senior season that other schools are just going, wow, all right, this guy has a chance. And he just kind of told me, he's like, a year ago, I could have never imagined that I would be on an official visit to Ohio State and have the defending national champions really want me to come play for them. I just never thought it could be me. And he just seemed very thankful for that and very thankful for his ascension and the opportunity. And now he also says, in terms of the nitty gritty, when's he going to make a decision? He told me at the latest it'll come at the end of this week. So Friday, end of day is the latest. I think it could come sooner. But I say I am leaning towards Ohio State here. I probably feel more optimistic about CJ than I do Braxton right now, but I'm optimistic about them both. If for whatever reason Braxton doesn't work out, I mean, James Laurinaitis could pivot back to Jaden Williams from Massillon and try to make a late run there. But we'll cross that bridge depending on what the decision Braxton makes, right? But either way, I think Braxton, if he commits to Ohio State, is a couple years away from playing for the Buckeyes. This is a guy that you get him in with Coach Mick, you put some weight on him, you let him learn the system, and then after 2 years, he's right in the mix to compete for meaningful reps. He's definitely what I would lean a little bit more towards a project, but he's just got all the tools in the world that you could dream on. And I mean, hey, recruiting services are taking notice of him. I saw that Rivals updated their rankings yesterday, and he cracked the Rivals 300. And his composite ranking before yesterday was 1,300 something, and now it is 590. So we'll have to see what 247 boosts him up to when they update their rankings. But yeah, this was a very low 3-star recruit that is on borderline 4-star status right now.
So keep in mind, we just talked about CJ Bronaugh playing at a low level. Our guy here, Braxton Rembert, played at Mill Creek, which will.
And you know what? We have some breaking news. Braxton Rembert, as we are speaking, has committed to Ohio State.
We did not plan that. Now that's some good stuff. With an assist to Caleb Downs.
I meant today, but here we go.
Oh, that's cool. We didn't even plan that during the show. That's great. By the way, what I was going to say was quality of competition. The first clip, he was going against Buford. He went to the same high school as Caleb Downs. So quality of competition is not the issue. There's a boom for you right in the middle of the show. So you'll see some content from a guy named Garrick Hodge coming up here shortly. How much
we got to name this show The Manifestation.
The Manifest Destiny episode.
Yeah, geez.
Tune in for a boom. Braxton Rembert has committed to Ohio State. He waited until we started our review of him. I pushed play. He said, I commit. It's just synergy on a grand level. We had some synergy with the dean. We've never pulled that off. We've never been able to actually talk about the guy in the show and have him commit as we speak. So
yeah, that's an all-time moment, guys.
If you're feeling better about CJ Bronaugh, I don't know what that means.
Well, I'll continue to praise him. As we were watching that film, I talked to a lot of college coaches, and if you're not an Ohio State coach, these are the players you're like, please let us get this kid. Right. Because just what I said a few years ago, if this was a junior tape or a sophomore tape, where would he be ranked, guys? He would be in those 4-star categories. It just took him a little while. And Garrett said he's going from a 3-star to a 4-star. That's this process we're in. That's called recruiting and development and progression. And yeah, like I said, there's a lot of college coaches that would say, I'll take this guy. He's Ohio State good. He doesn't even know it. And we'll get this guy drafted in a couple of years and he'll play somewhere else. And not anymore. Ohio State's really done a great job with these senior evaluations. I think that may be a theme almost in this, an understated theme, because we're so focused on the high profile, who's getting the most NIL. No, who's doing all the dirty work and bringing in these guys in the class that, aren't the no-brainer types. They're the easy ones.
Yeah, people were happy to get Arvell Reese. There was no parade on Bucknuts when we got him. That was like, oh, pipeline. He was at Euclid. Why did he transfer? Blah, blah. And then that's why. All right, let's talk about Darius McKinley, Garrick. I'm going to let you hop off and get everything up, and Mark and I will do Eye in the Sky as you get your commitment stuff rolling.
Well, fortunately, I am multitasking, and that Braxton Rembert story should be on the site now if you want to go read it on bucknuts.com. So
he's a dual threat, people. Wait till you see him on special teams. Go ahead.
Well, don't put me there. I might miss a kick. I might anyway.
Too much pressure.
Darius McKinley is a 6'3", 270-pounder defensive lineman out of Lafayette, Louisiana. And you might be thinking, McKinley, where have I heard that name before? Well, his older brother, Dominic McKinley, was a very priority target for Larry Johnson in the 2024 recruiting class. And they really moved the needle with him. But I think, unfortunately, the family really wanted to stay close to home. So home cooking won out in that scenario. And Dominic has been pretty good for LSU. Could that end up being a 2-for-1?
I was just thinking that.
Could it be a 2-for-1?
Does LSU need a coach? Are they at upheaval? Hello.
Could it be a 2-for-1? I'm not saying it could. I'm not saying it couldn't. But I will say that taking his brother out of the equation for a second, this is a guy that's had a great senior year, had more than 70 tackles as both a defensive tackle and a defensive end, 9.5 sacks, somewhere around there. So, I mean, he is just mauling people down. I think he's more of an inside guy at Ohio State. What if you think he's a nose or a 3 or whatever is kind of up to dealer's choice. But that would be the 7th defensive line commitment for Ohio State in this class, which is just crazy how many bodies they're taking, and that would be 5 interior bodies. So they are just building the trenches right now, and it's really exciting to see. Now, before we get too excited, I do want to caution people that I don't have a great read on what Darius is going to do. When they officially offered him, I just thought, I mean, you might as well try when the coaching chaos is happening right now with Brian Kelly. And, yeah, it's worth a shot. And then once they got Emmanuel Ruffin, I was like, maybe the end's a little full. There's 4 defensive linemen in the trenches. But no, he would be a take if he wants in. I think they moved the needle with him on his official visit this weekend. There's some cautious optimism. of the three that we just discussed, I can say that I'm the least confident in Ohio State will get him. And I know that's really easy to say now that Braxton's officially in, right? But yeah, it's pretty interesting right now. That I'm just trying to figure out a way to phrase this that doesn't involve, just dream of the 2-for-1, man, because you don't know.
Don't worry. You can't stop me now. I've
I
already started
you
dreaming.
can't just dream of what LSU is going to do. I mean, apparently the Kiffins are in Baton Rouge, Louisiana yesterday, so could imminent hiring of Lane Kiffin make Darius just stay home? I certainly think it could, but I think that one, I don't know if we'll get clarity on in the next couple days. They could. But I would say right now the vibes are cautiously optimistic as I go look at some more Braxton stuff really quick, but I'll stay on the pod to hear Mark's thoughts.
Marcus, here, let me say this first. With McKinley, we probably just need to wait and see what happens at LSU. My guess is when you're in such an advantage base position like Ohio State is right now, keep in mind Ohio State's going to go very possibly back-to-back first-round picks on the defensive line at defensive tackle. Caden McDonald is getting that kind of buzz at this point. If you go Tyleik Williams, Caden McDonald, McKinley, I mean, you're laying it out for these guys to come to a more stable program and have a better professional opportunity. Mark, your thoughts?
And my eyes are fixed on his lower body. His legs are so strong, and the power he has is just immense. He's just ripping through the half bodies of people left and right. And he's got some heavy hands. I mean, as he punches people, and even when he reaches out and grabs kids and tackles
fire hydrant.
It's like he's latching onto him. He's just not like tackling him. There's some man stuff here with this kid. And I'm looking at the comments and I was thinking, Coach Patricia has to be sitting around in these meetings and saying, "You mean we get to take another one? You mean, hold on, we get to take another one? Like usually we get 7 picks a year. I might get a couple on defense, and I gotta make sure we hit. And if we don't hit on them, we're all criticized for not hitting on them. And some of them are 50-50s. And I wish I could take. Now you can take both. Now you can take 3. Now you can take 5 defensive linemen and a bunch of 6'5" pass rushers. And I mean, he's got to be like a kid in a candy store thinking, boy, I can do this each year. This is a great haul on defensive. Just what we're watching today.
It's impressive. I mean, it really is impressive. And that's another point Brass Tacks brings up here. Even that we're talking about guys from Louisiana, that used to be Louisiana and Ohio are considered the 2 toughest places to get a guy out of if they have an offer from the in-state power. That's why a lot of people think the job is so good at Louisiana. Just like in Ohio, kids grow up wanting to be Buckeyes. Same with Louisiana. So now don't even start doing this stuff. Don't even start with getting Dylan Stewart in here. We're going to have to move to the NFC East if that happens. I'm not even kidding. All right, we're going to have to switch to real football here. Real football. We're going to have to look at highlights. I apologize that to everybody. You have to now go back to the future here. But Mark, you had a chance to do Eye in the Sky for us and take us through, and we'll enjoy.
Yeah, I know it's just UCLA, but there's still a lot to learn, and we're still following trends and themes of things that we're looking at throughout the season. Ohio State cover 3, 2 linebackers underneath, very basic, nothing, to see here. They call a perfect play, UCLA does, against this blitz off the edge. And when you see teams trying to play Ohio State, when they can't even get stuff like this right, they're being dominated. All you got to do is put a body on a body out here on the edge, and you should have a play. No, Caleb Downs is a man-child. He blows up your blocker, and he gets you 3 yards deep in the backfield, in which if Ohio State runs that play, they probably gain 20 yards, okay? UCLA on defense, you got the cover 4 shell, 2 linebackers underneath like Ohio State does. But the robbers, what we're going to talk about here. Watch Julian Sam manipulate him with the different sides of the field. He's going to look down at the bottom of the field and read. That's a smash concept, the high-low concept down there. And that robber, his only choice is, hey, I got to follow the quarterback's eyes. I'm trying to rob what he's seeing and maybe jump a route that he doesn't see me coming. But no, as soon as he pulls him out of that thing, the backside route combinations is built to hold the linebacker underneath and slide right underneath the safeties between the linebackers. And Julian's saying, there it is, as he comes out of his break. And I want to point out the pass protection more and more, because I know this line's been taking heat about offensive running game and whatever. They're incredible pass blockers. Like, these pockets are ridiculous. That throw's ridiculous. The execution's ridiculous. So great play there. Every middle school team in America runs this play, a couple double teams up to the linebackers. It's your standard power play. That could be a fullback or a tight end kicking out. This play is pretty unique when you see how it unfolds here. You're supposed to hit this off tackle or follow that block right there. That hole's a little sketchy. There's a clear hole up the middle, but we have a lineman laying in the hole because he got tripped up there. Now, that's embarrassing as an offensive lineman. I'm sure you don't want to be pointed out there, but he was trying to crawl. So when you look at this overhead, how did that turn out like that? How did you just gash this team? Both linebackers plugged the wrong holes. The middle linebacker is going backside B because he thinks there might be a cutback. The other linebacker is scraping. No one actually blocks, really, either middle linebacker. Our lineman is trying to crawl up there. He's making the best of being on the ground. Maybe I'll crawl up there and get an ankle or something. But, yeah, this is one of those plays that shouldn't have worked. But, hey, you don't block two linebackers just the way you drew it up. We'll run right at those two linebackers, and they'll just get out of the way for us. Nice big chunk for Bro Jackson there. Down on the goal line here, I think I told this story a couple of weeks ago. Vrabel used to mess with Tom Brady, and they would drop 8 or 9 guys around the goal line, and Tom Brady would be like, no one ever does that. Well, here it is. They're dropping 8 around the goal line. There's no over the top, so everybody's just standing there. And if you're a quarterback, boy, it's tough to throw into all these little tight windows. So the 3-man rush doesn't bother you. You can read the top of the field with the high-low, or you have the mesh or crosser concept at the bottom. Julian's looking at the top of the field here where there is a little void where he could have popped it into that hole. That happens all the time. You're reading the strong side against the weak side. No pass rush there again. I mean, Dan can play quarterback here with this amount of time. This just comes down to a DB falling down. And we're lucky we didn't step out of bounds there. He was real close, but yeah, a DB slips in an 8-man coverage, and you come away with that
was 4th down, by the way.
Yeah, so there's some breaks there we're getting. Unbalanced, cover 0, man-to-man against the unbalanced. You're matching this on 3rd and inches. Look at Kenyatta Jackson. Jeez, oh, man. I mean, you put that defensive end speed down inside, and that first step on a guard who's not used to seeing it. Ooh, 6 in the box. You're going to run at 6 in the box. You're not going to try to run at 8 or 9 in the box, but this is one of my favorite plays, and I'm going to pause this for a second and get on my soapbox. When I was coaching younger kids, I used to say, let's run to this strong side, because if you can just execute 3 blocks, you got to play. Over here with the tight end, you got to get 4, maybe 5, and I would always use the analogy. Wouldn't you rather hit a 2-team parlay or a 3-team parlay than try to hit a 4 or 5-team parlay and get all these blocks executed? So this is really a 2-block play here. You get this edge really here, and it's one of the most simple plays in football. And, boy, the UCLA actually slants against the grain there. It helps it out. You get up on the linebacker. We don't even block the edge guys. We missed both of them, but it's okay.
No.
I mean, that's one of the pictures of the year or plays of the year for sure when you do that.
Is that good when that's your 4th-string running back? Is that good?
This offensive line, it may not gash you for 8 yards a carry every single time they turn around, but they will pop you for clean runs 3 or 4 times a game where they're getting some nice runs out of it. We'll go one more. Ohio State has a 6-man box, and a very similar play. The other way to scheme up that side is you block down, and pull the guard, but it's a 3-man blocking scheme where, okay, let's try to just make these smaller executable plays work against Ohio State. Sonny Styles just runs right by a tight end. I mean, the long arms, the speed to go run down that tailback, that's when Sonny Styles looks his best, when he's running like a deer in open space.
Last one.
Okay, 6-man blitz. So, with 6-man blitz, they're playing a roof over the top of this. This is tough. Quarterbacks got to think fast here. Whatever way they look first is probably where they go. Julian actually reads the wrong side of the field here for a second against this blitz, because he doesn't see the open man at the top of the field here. Now, we'll pause this here because I can talk about it. We don't know what the assignment is for this running back, but we know these two have these two, right? One for you, one for me. because he maybe stays on this a little longer, it screws it up. Or should he have gone and taken the outside guy? He takes the inside guy.
He's in the push and sit. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, throughout a game of 60 plays, you're going to run into these dilemmas that someone makes a split-second decision. Okay, I know I was taught to do this, but I think in this situation I got to do this. And it just unfolds in a way that, oh, boy, we both kind of went after the wrong guy. And even though Julian's going to come back and he's missing the guy in the square because he's looking at the dig, this guy just comes free too quick for him to make his read to the next progression. Hey, and that's how it happens. You know, you run 60 plays, not all of them can look pretty, and sometimes two guys go block the same guy and leave someone free, and then that guy looks like an All-American when all it was a split-second, mental decision.
That's why we call it the eye in the sky. I cannot stress to you enough that the coaches during the game, it's a cursory look for them. They go back to the all-22 before they say anything to anybody of ilk. They probably yelled at some people before that. But it really is illuminating to have Mark do this. So we appreciate him doing that. All right, guys. 45 minutes plus. So that means we're going to have to charge you for the last minute. That'll just show up on your Venmo or something, everybody. But we appreciate it. Who knew we were going to get a boom during the show from Braxton Rembert?
Shameless site promotion. Both the commit piece and the impact are on Bucknuts right now. So if you want to learn more about Braxton, head right to Bucknuts.
Garrick had no idea it was coming. He just somehow had it all ready for you. So, which is good stuff.
Yeah, right.
We appreciate that, and we appreciate everybody stopping by. Have a good one, Nutters. Buck.